Hey guys, it's Faye from Solar Flow and I am back with an all new video. Today's topic is a royal update, and this is your guys' questions and my channeled information as the answers. So as with all similarly themed videos, there are timestamps down below and you are more than welcome to hop around. So let's have fun with it and let's dive in. So the first question that I was asked is, what will King Charles do about Harry and Meghan? And if you are unfamiliar, Harry is Charles's son. He is a prince, and he married a woman named Meghan Markle that is an American former actress. And they left the royal family in, I want to say maybe 2020, and they moved to the United States, and they currently live in California. So let's see what was shown to me. What will Charles do about Harry and Meghan? Right now, nothing. Charles pays almost no attention to what his son across the pond does, as it has almost no impact on him. Sure, King Charles has strong opinions, and he thinks Harry is cuckolded by Meghan, and he thinks the house that they moved into was in a very extravagant purchase, but he also thinks that Harry did it to make Meghan happy. But what Harry does is actually really of no consequence to Charles, because King Charles has some arrogance in thinking that he is the king, and therefore his son, the prince, is certainly not stronger than he himself as the king. Yes, of course, he knows that it's not like he's living under a rock. He knows that Harry wrote a book called Spare, in which he was supposedly airing all of this dirty laundry. Yes, he knows that Meghan kind of runs her trap about things. But he also feels like he is thousands of miles away, so really, what is the fuss with anything that Harry is doing? And after waiting a fucking eternity to finally be crowned king, that's what he really wants to focus on. Not Harry, not Meghan, himself. Because it's his time to shine, and not his errant and overly pampered youngest son. So if you're asking if I personally think that he is going to take their titles away, I don't. Because he really pays them almost no mind. And for them to really get King Charles's attention would require something truly heinous, which I do not see Harry doing. But as unaffected as Charles is by Harry, prior to Kate's cancer diagnosis, it was much more William, Harry's older brother, who had his finger on the pulse of what Harry was up to, even if he was doing it in a completely discreet manner. Because it's not like William himself was reading the articles in any newspaper to see what was going on. But he certainly had his secretary keep him apprised of anything truly notable that was happening in the United States with either Harry or Meghan. However, that was then, and now he has much more pressing matters to tend to. But what was also shown to me is that William very much assumed the role of being a responsible older brother and keeping an eye on Harry, because he does genuinely love and care for him. So that is what I have for you on King Charles and what he will do or what he thinks about Meghan and Harry. And any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is the fake photos that Kate had released on England's Mother's Day. Because the photos had been doctored and there was some speculation as to why they had released photos that had been doctored. So let's see what was shown to me. So Kate's fake photos were put out because either Kate or her team, or Kate and her team both, were trying to make it appear as if nothing was amiss. So it was an effort to put something out because everyone over there in Kate's camp is a bit frazzled and they are not at their best. Not just Kate, but her team as well. Because her team was shown to me as genuinely liking her and they all feel incredibly protective over her. So her cancer diagnosis was a real shock to them and has been affecting them all. So they are all a little bit stressed out, they are all a little bit frazzled, but releasing the doctored photos was not done with the intention of deceiving the public. They were not at that time ready to say anything, but being a public figure calls for creating and releasing content on notable occasions such as Mother's Day, and this was such an occasion. And that is what I have for you on the releasing of the doctored photos. Any questions? Please do let me know down below. Now, this has been a big topic that have been requested by a great number of you, which is wanting to get an update on Kate and to see if her cancer diagnosis was real or if it was actually done with the intention of covering something much more nefarious up. Don't worry, I gotcha. So here is a complete update on Kate. Kate is not doing well. First, there is the matter of her feeling like her hand was forced and feeling like she had to go public even though she did not want to. But she really has a strong sense of pride and a call to duty, and out of her sense of concern for the British people and how they were all concerned for her, she decided to come forward and to say something about her cancer diagnosis. So please understand, she did not do this because she wanted to. She did it more out of a sense of duty and responsibility to the British people because so many of them were concerned of what was going on with her. So really just to kind of like assuage people's fears, she decided to come forward, not that she wanted to. Outside of that, the cancer diagnosis has taken a huge toll on her emotionally, and the treatment has taken a huge toll on her physically. Kate is someone that was always slim and slender, but right now she is positively emaciated. And some of that could be seen in the video that she had released in which she was talking about her cancer diagnosis. But she is even slimmer now. And what tends to happen when somebody receives chemo or radiation treatment for cancer, their healthy cells are destroyed along with the cancerous cells. And for her, being somebody that was always so physically fit and healthy, now being weak and sick has taken a further toll on her. Now, to be clear, in case you were wondering, she really is sick and she really does have cancer. I did not see any deception or that this was put forth to cover something else up. Because guys, think about how ghoulish it would actually be for somebody to make up a cancer diagnosis to explain why they were taking a step back from the public life. But that is not the case here. She really is sick. She really does have cancer and she really is incredibly scared. She is scared of what will happen to her children if she is not there for them. She is scared for William and how he will do as king if he was on his own. And she has a lot of concerns, but they mostly revolve around her family and not necessarily for her herself. Because for her, it is far too scary to think about crossing over, but also incredibly hard not to. She does not want to cross over, as she really does want to be here for her kids and knows what a heavy burden William will carry, and she does not want to see him carry it alone. So that is what I have for you on how Kate is doing, and I hope that answers any questions that you have. And if not, please do let me know down below. Now, this was not a question that was implicitly asked, but I felt like if we were already doing an update on Kate, let's also check in with William and see how William is doing. So how is William doing with everything that is going on? He is trying to be strong for Kate and his kids, but inside he feels like he is dying of fear. He is so afraid for Kate and losing her, so afraid of losing her that he is close to going out of his mind. So he was shown to me as a swan. So picture, if you can, a swan and how beautiful and majestic they appear to be as they glide across the water. And they seem to so effortlessly be doing it. But what we don't see is how under the water they are kicking like hell. And that is William right now. Because what we do not see under the surface is that he is kicking like hell because he sometimes feels like the weight and the pressure of all he is going through is drowning him. So he is kicking like hell just to stay afloat. Between his father's cancer diagnosis and Kate's cancer diagnosis, his brother, the monarchy, he is not getting much sleep. And what was shown to me is he really does love Kate, but more than that, he genuinely likes her as a person and she him. They are great friends that genuinely enjoy one another's company, so he is scared to lose her not only as a wife, but he is scared to lose her as a friend as well. And he is scared that their kids will grow up without their mother. So he keeps kicking like hell because that's all there is to do. So that is what I have for you on how William is doing in relationship to Kate and his father. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next question I was asked to look into is, what does William think about Harry? This is juicy. Let's see what was shown to me. So, William, who is Prince Harry's older brother, is keeping his distance, but he is still concerned. And he was used to having the role of the protective older brother and being the one that was poised to be king and was also used to cleaning up after Harry's gaffes. Or if he himself was not the one that was directly cleaning up the gaffes, he was privy to knowing about what was to be done. And it was shown to me that there was this unspoken thought or acknowledgement in the monarchy that Harry was always going to be a bit of a mess. But the thought was much more that he would be a bachelor prince. And the concern was actually that he was going to knock girls up, and therefore the monarchy had to be prepared to offer the woman he knocked up generous hush money paydays to keep them quiet. So what is happening now is not at all what was expected, because it's Harry that's the one that's running his mouth and not the potential woman they thought he was going to knock up. So it's Harry that is the one that is running his trap and in some cases fabricating stories. So the royals have really had to pivot here because obviously they can't shut him up and there's no amount of hush money to offer him because Harry is just so angry and like a petulant child, which he essentially is. He is stamping his feet because he is not getting what he wants. Poor Harry. But the royals don't entirely know what it is that Harry in fact wants, because this is a side of him they don't know. And they were all too happy to give him their blessings to, first and foremost, marry an American, a divorced American who was also an actress, because this at least seemed to be a better alternative than him being the eternal bachelor that could potentially knock up any number of countless girls. Because maybe if he was married and he was grounded and he was stable, he would be happy. Except, now that he is married, Harry doesn't entirely seem happy at all. In fact, he seems entirely too unhappy. And because of how he chose to behave, the royals have really had to take a big step back and give them, as in give Harry and Meghan, a wide berth, because any involvement they have can and will be used against them, unequivocally, without doubt and without fail. And William knows all of this. So despite his reservations about Meghan and him rather vocally voicing it to his father and the Queen, and even Harry, they still married, and they married with the Queen's blessing. So Harry had the Queen's blessing in marrying Meghan, a divorced American actress. He had her blessing, the Queen's blessing. Now, what was also shown to me is that the Queen was incredibly shrewd. Very, in fact. And she had told William before Harry and Meghan's wedding that she did not think Harry and Meghan were going to remain in England and were going to stay on as working royals. Which is why she had given Meghan, prior to their wedding, her blessing in saying to Meghan she did not have to give up her career and she could continue to remain working as an actress. And that was the Queen's way of getting out ahead of it. She kind of had a feeling they were going to spread their wings and fly. So at least do it with the Queen's blessing. So prior to the Queen's crossing over, she had tried to reassure William and to keep him calm because he was genuinely concerned about Meghan marrying into the family. Because there was something about Meghan that did not sit well with William. And he had very real concerns, even if he could not put his finger on what they were. Now, in case you were wondering, if the so-called Megxit, which is when Harry and Meghan left the royal family and moved out of England, Megxit did not blindside the royals. Even if it's been reported, they knew that it was going to happen. I had just shared with you a couple of minutes ago, the Queen kind of knew that they weren't going to stick around. So she had given them their blessings to go, do your thing, be happy, free birds. So they were not at all surprised when Harry and Meghan had come to them and said that they wanted to leave England and to leave the royal family, because the Queen already had a feeling that they would leave. The Queen also knew Harry. And she knew that he had wanderlust, but thought he would perhaps move to South Africa, and if that made him happy, all the better for him. So the only thing that actually blindsided them was that Meghan could not or did not want to wait to announce it like they had asked her to do. They knew she was leaving. She refused to wait as they had requested. Because Meghan always had to do things her way without any regard or concern for others. So it was really at this point that they were all too happy to let them go. The monarchy was happy to let Harry and Meghan go. they kind of already saw what kind of person Meghan was and how things were going to continue to play out with her. And at least the Queen, what did I write here? At least the Queen was happy to let them go, and she encouraged William to do the same, but not to wipe their hands of them, but more seen through the lens of it was time for the baby bird to leave the nest and fly away. So really, William had to take an enormous step back and watched from afar. But now, after everything that has happened, he has had to cut ties with Harry. He sees, this is William. William sees that as long as Harry is with Meghan, he is a liability, vis-a-vis being with Meghan, who's an even bigger liability. And William wishes he had the Queen or Philip's counsel because his father, King Charles, mostly seems to not care. And he and Kate were just as gobsmacked as the rest of us with how fast things had soured. Except it was happening to them and not something that they were reading about. So it was all the more startling. William does not think that Harry fucked up, but that he is in a bad spot and one that he cannot help him get out of. Because truly, the baby bird, as in Harry, has finally left the nest, and from William's point of view, it is time for Harry to grow up, which he hopes he is. So that is what I have for you on William and what he thinks about Meghan and Harry. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is specifically on Meghan and Harry. Now, here's the thing. In case you are not familiar, I actually have done an entire standalone video on Meghan and Harry, which I have linked down below. So I'm not going to go into anything that I had really discussed in that video. It's just more of an overview of like how things are going on now with them. But if you want to get a more behind the veil comprehensive view about those two energetically, check out that video if you have not already done so. So Meghan and Harry, here we go. They were shown to me as having a bit of a fucked up dynamic. Or rather, Harry has been buckled into a fucked up roller coaster he does not remember getting onto. He thought his relationship with Meghan was going to be more like a lazy river, and that he would have a nice, calm life with his sexy wife, only for the lazy river to turn into a wild, wild ride with multiple large-scale waterfalls and a period of calm in between each one before being tossed over the next one again. Harry does not feel like he is on firm ground with Meghan, because he's not. It's not just a feeling, right? It's not feelings over facts. Like, he feels like he's not on firm ground because in actual fact, he's not. He is not on firm ground because he is at the whims of Meghan's emotions. And he was shown to me as he would do anything within his power to make her happy. To get the Meghan she was before they were married, and to get her back. But nothing he does seems to work. She wanted to leave England, so they left England. She wanted to move to California, so they moved to California. She wanted the ridiculous house for, quote, people of their stature, end quote. So they got it. She wanted to talk to Oprah and Netflix, so they did. Everything she has wanted to do, they have done. But it was done more for him just trying to make her happy. But the more he does for her, the more unhappy she seems to be. So he had thought maybe they had done too much drugs together, because they did do a lot, and Whereas, let's say, Harry is more the kind to want to smoke a blunt, Meghan likes the Coca-Cola. She liked it a lot. She's kind of gone through periods of doing it and not doing it. So he had thought maybe they had done too much drugs together, but she had seemed perfectly okay in the early days when they were doing drugs and they had just gotten together. So he thought maybe she was just always tired. So then he would leave her alone in the morning and just let her sleep. But then she would wake up around 10 or 11 a.m. and be a complete terror, accusing him of not doing enough in the morning and wasting the day away. So now he mostly accepts this is just going to be Meghan. And maybe her time being in the royal family really fundamentally changed her. Like maybe it was worse than he ever realized, and maybe he had gotten her out of there too late. This is genuinely what Harry believes. And he genuinely believes this because he does not see her clearly. Because Meghan has really twisted him up. He does not know that she's never happy because there really is never anything he can do or anyone can do to make her happy. And every time he pushes back, she just starts crying and tells him he just doesn't understand what she has been through and how much the press and his family hated her. And even though he didn't see them hating on her, she has somehow really convinced him that they did. So he's stuck. And no matter how much she yells at him, and no matter how bad she makes him feel, he does still love her. But sometimes it feels a little less. Until he sometimes catches a glimpse of the Meghan he fell in love with, and he is just so happy to have her back, and he would do anything to get her back. He really is stuck. Because from his perspective, when they first met, Meghan was fun and sexy and easygoing and so in love with him it hurt. Now she's just angry and cold. And in turn, he too finds himself angry. And now that they have kids, I'll talk about them in a moment. Now that they have kids, he would do anything to keep his family together so that his kids don't have to know what it was like to grow up without having both of their parents there for them. So one could say, due to the fact that Harry lost his mother at a young age, he's kind of stuck in this trauma response and in wanting to get out ahead of what his children might go through, not by having one of his parents being unalived, but by having one of their parents just not being in the picture all the time. So because he's stuck in a trauma response, he really will do anything to keep his family unit together. Now, in case you were wondering, I think I had maybe spoken about this before. I'm not sure if it was, I think it might have been in a member's video though. So, because I have a feeling this might come up. If anybody is wondering if the children exist or if the children were born to Meghan, so I do see that the children are real, they do exist. They're not like rent a baby or rent a kid for like photo ops or anything like that. The kids too do exist because when I look at Harry and Meghan, I do see the souls of their children around them. So that means that the souls of their children really did come from them. But I don't believe that Meghan actually carried them. I think both of the children were born to surrogates, but they are genetically the children of Harry and Meghan, but they were not born to Meghan. So, in case you were also wondering, no, I do not see Harry leaving Meghan. He will continue to chase after her like a puppy, trying to make her happy, but sometimes he's the puppy that gets kicked away. But he is devoted to her. So if and when these two split up, it will be because of Meghan and not Harry. He does not see her clearly, and any support he has previously had, either in England with his friends or with the monarchy or with William, has dried up. So no one will give it to him straight. They just won't. They see he's a lost cause. He's like a ship without a captain. It's just sailing away. So no one will give it to him straight, and even if they did, he's not listening anyway. He has given too much for her to back down now, and he does not know who he is without her any longer. So that is what I have for you on Meghan and Harry. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, another question I was asked to look into is, did William cheat on Kate, and did he have kids with the woman that he cheated with? So this is what was shown to me. No. If he did in fact cheat, quote unquote, it was before he and Kate were married. Now, this is not to say if they were together and he cheated, it was any less cheating, but he didn't cheat on a wife, he maybe cheated on a girlfriend. It's still cheating, but it's maybe not to the same extent of cheating on a wife. So if he did cheat, it was before he and Kate were married, and it would have been at a time that they were broken up. So after saying all of that, no, he never actually cheated on her, because if he did, they were broken up at the time. Here's why. William is far too mature and has a sense of duty and responsibility. So to cheat and risk being found out and to potentially throw his entire life away, not going to do it. He does have friends that also happen to be girls, yes, currently as well, but none that he has cheated with. Now, here's an interesting thing. There is, however, a potential for a future family. A woman he knew that has kids of her own, that maybe got divorced, or maybe her husband was unalived. Not necessarily like unalived by the hands of another person, maybe just natural causes or something like that. But here's the thing. The future has not finished working itself out because the present hasn't either. Plus, free will. So read between the lines of what I'm saying here. Will not leave Kate for another woman. But there is the potential for a future partner for him, but he may also decide to be alone and not to ever remarry. Read between the lines. So that is what I have for you on if William cheated and if he has kids with another woman. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is, are the royals related to the Tuatha De Danann? Now, don't worry if you don't know what they are. I didn't know what they were either, so I actually Googled them. I know, shocking. So this is what the Tuatha De Danann are. They are a mythological race of deities or healers or warriors or craftsmen that had supernatural powers. So the question is, are the royals actually related in any way, shape, or form to the Tuatha De Danann? This is what was shown to me. No. But they wish they could be. Because these mythological people with their supernatural powers sound great. And like something they would definitely like to be part of, but because the royals are not a vibrational match for them, even if these mythological people did exist, they would not be a match to them. So I hope that answers your question on if the royals are related to the Tuatha De Danann, and if not, please do let me know down below. Now here's another interesting question I was asked to look into, which which was or who was the first royal to join the club and to drink the juice. And if you don't know what club I'm talking about or what juice I'm talking about, let me know down below and I'll direct you towards some of my previous videos in which we do a deep dive into this. But if you know, you know. So let's see what was shown to me on who the first royals were to join the club and did they drink the juice. So whoever the first royals were, surprise, surprise, they were implanted. And they already had and probably always had drank the juice. So it's not like the royals were this freestanding institution that were infiltrated and introduced to the juice. No. Because just like the cabal likes to implant their own into prominent positions of power, it's what they have in fact always done. It's nothing new. This is their blueprint of what they do. And because it's what they've always done, it's no different for implanting their people into a monarchy. Now, there is a reason that monarchs from days of yore have not really been there for the people, and in some cases have actually been against their own people. Because while they have been living well and living above all of their own people, their people live in squalor, and then on top of it, they tax them. And that kind of superiority does not come from nowhere. It comes from somewhere. And that somewhere is being taught how everyone is below them, because that is exactly what the cabal believes. So aside from implanting their own into royalty, this will also explain how there is someone or something even higher than the monarchs. And no, I do not mean God. It's the cabal. Because monarchs, in fact, wait, what did I write here? It's the cabal. Monarchs live, in fact, I was glossing over a word. So monarchs, in fact, live below the cabal. And just in case they ever forget that fact, look back in history, because history is littered with monarchs being overthrown or unalived, from the Russian Romanovs to Louis XVI to Marie Antoinette, Tsar Paul I, King Charles IV of Spain, and on and on. So when they do forget who they are and that there is somebody above them, a literal somebody, not like an entity, not like a deity like a god, but actual people that are above them. So if they ever forget who they are and who they are working for, it is very easy to implant people into a revolution or to create one to overthrow the monarchy as a whole and unalive them and all of their offsprings. So these lessons stand as a not so gentle reminder to color within the lines and behave. Because the royals are not the top of the pecking order. So that is what I have for you on who is the first to drink the juice or the club. I hope that answers your question. And if not, please do let me know down below. So here's another big one that got a lot of questions, which is what the actual fuck was going on with King Charles's official portrait, because it's a bit creepy. And if you have not yet seen, you can go to the community section on my homepage on YouTube. And I had actually posted pictures that was sent to me that if you had turned the official portrait upside down and you put two of them, one superimposed next to the other one, it actually kind of looked like there was a demonic entity in the picture. So let's see what was going on with the royal portrait. So Charles, now king, very much sees this time period of being all about him. He's had his motherfucking glow up because he has waited for the throne for decades and really wants to celebrate the fact that this is his time. I've arrived, y'all. I've arrived. I'm King Charles now. So to that end, he really wanted himself to be the focal point and that anything else would fade around him. Because when you look at the official royal portrait, it's really only him that we can see, looking proud and regal and strong and competent. And again, it's really only him. And a butterfly. Say what? Like, make it make sense. I will, I promise. So from Charles's point of view, the butterfly is meant to reflect his softer side, and that he is a man of the people, and he will protect them. And that only he will protect them. So in some ways, the butterfly was actually meant to disarm. Because look, it's not only him in his own official portrait, there's also a representation of the people as well. This is literally the thought process. But that's what also makes the portrait rather creepy, because there's a selfishness about it, and it seems as if he is perhaps hiding something. Or at the very least, he's hiding something of himself, because half of himself in the portrait is kind of like hidden in the smoke or the shadows. But here's the crazy thing. Despite all of this, I don't see anything overtly evil or demonic behind the intention of the official portrait. But there is actually a lot of selfish energy behind it. Like, look how proud and strong our king is, how competent he is in protecting us, because we are just these genteel butterflies, and he is the almighty competent king. So look how competent he is in protecting us, the small and gentle butterfly, and oh, look how thoughtful he even was to have us included in his portrait. So shut up and don't criticize the king, because long live the king and long may he reign while cloaked in shadows and concealment. That is what I have for you on the portrait. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, this is a topic I was not actually asked to look into, but I was like, you know what, I'm doing a deep dive into the royals anyway. This is something that I had seen. I'm kind of curious about it. I'm going to look into it. So there is footage from, this has got to be, I would say, from like maybe like the early 2000s or maybe somewhere in like the 1990s. There is footage of a completely naked man escaping. I'm not making this up. Escaping out of one of the windows of whatever palace they live in. Kensington, I have no idea. Kensington Palace, maybe? So what the fuck was up with that guy that was escaping naked, butt-ass naked, in his motherfucking birthday suit from one of the windows in the palace? What was up with it? Here we go. This is what was shown to me. Simply put, that guy saw something that spooked him, and spooked him bad enough that he was willing to try to get the fuck out of there, butt-ass naked, from a second-story window. Because it's not like he just cracked a window open and he took a run for it. This was a second-story window, and he was like, it looked like a prison break. I think he was like, there was sheets tied together, and he was like trying to like climb down them, and then like he fell down. It was really dramatic. Not even kidding. So what spooked him? I can tell you, first and foremost, what it wasn't. in case you're wondering. It wasn't, even if you're not wondering, I'm still going to tell you, my video. It wasn't that he was afraid of being handcuffed or spanked or sodomized, because he was into all of that and more. He wasn't afraid of, I'm sorry if this is getting graphic, this is what was shown to me, guys. So, you know, with the guide's report, I bring to you. He was not afraid of nipple clamps, hot wax, or whips, because those were in fact some of the things that had lured him there. What he was, however, afraid of was being consumed, as in literally consumed. And he had good reason to think he would be, because they like to play with their food. They like to scare them. It's kind of like, have you ever seen like a cat and mouse and the way they interact? The cat doesn't just like go for the mouse and unalive it and that, no, the cat likes to play with the mouse first. So they were playing with him, and he had seen some shit that made him think that he was going to be consumed by them. So rather than be consumed, he decided to take his chance and flee. That is what I have for you on the jailbreak from Kensington or Buckingham Palace. Any questions, please do let me know down below. This is where I'm also going to remind you, in case I have Agent Smiths that are viewing in, I do not do 3D research on any of the topics that I am asked to look into. I also happen to live in the United States. I am not a monarchist. I do not really keep up with the British royal family, so excuse my ignorance if I don't know what palace they live in. All right, the next topic I was asked to look into is what really happened to somebody by the name of Thomas Kingston. Now, don't worry if you don't know who he is. I didn't know who he was either. Thomas Kingston was married to, I believe, like the second cousin or something like that of Queen Elizabeth. And he had reportedly unalived himself just after, I think, like 5 years of being married. So the question was, did he really unalive himself, or was there foul play involved in his unaliving? So let's see what was shown to me. Surprise, surprise, Thomas Kingston really did unalive himself. He was under enormous pressure and he could see no way out. And while he really did love his wife, somebody by the name of Lady Gabriella, after they had gotten married, he began to see subtle changes in her. Small things, a look here or there, a snide comment, and an overall sense of unease in the marriage. Now, it was, of course, not enough for him to want to divorce her, but it was enough to get him to start to wonder about her. And the fact that divorcing her would be messy and expensive, well, there was a really good reason not to go down that road. So, this is not what was shown to me. This is intuition. Intuitively, I believe that he was having an affair. Because when I was kind of feeling the energy around him, he was not solely committed to his wife. He was not solely sexually committed to his wife. Not that when they had married, he had ever thought about cheating on her. But he felt he needed an escape and to feel normal again. But then he was found out. So here's the interesting thing. Even though the affair was not shown to me, go back to what I had said at the beginning. He was under enormous pressure and he could see no way out. So the affair wasn't shown to me, but his emotions tied to whatever it was that was going on that made him feel like there was no way out, that is intuitively what I was picking up on as being an extramarital affair. So he felt he needed, I don't know what I'm up to, he felt he needed an escape and to feel normal again, but he was found out. Not by his wife, not yet anyway, but he knew she would know soon enough, and he was not ready for the clusterfuck his life was about to become. and how he felt he would be sunk and he would lose everything. So maybe somebody powerful in the royal family found out that he was having an extramarital affair. Maybe they didn't say anything to Lady Gabriella yet. But just because they didn't say anything yet didn't mean they weren't gonna say anything ever. So just like the affair was an escape from his life, the unaliving of himself at his own hands was the ultimate escape from life he felt was no longer worth living. Because the one thing that made him feel normal and whole, which was the affair, was going to be taken away from him and ruin him. And he did not want to live through being ruined. So he didn't. So that is what I have for you on what happened to Thomas Kingston. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, while this next one is not something anybody asked me to look into, again, this is my video and I'll share topics if I want to. These are my so-called predictions for the monarchy. But even though I say predictions, they're not really predictions because guess the fuck what, guys? In case you haven't noticed by now, I don't do predictive videos. But I'll give you a prediction without doing an actual prediction. It's more like, let's kind of like look around the energy of what's going on there and see what we can extrapolate from it. So this is what I have for you. Just as I've been saying about everything, anything corrupt must come down so it can be rebuilt. So imagine, if you will, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It leans, hence the name Leaning Tower of Pisa. So imagine building something on top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Because the foundation, as in the Leaning Tower of Pisa, is so flawed, anything to come above it will be fundamentally flawed as well. It is very much the same here. So while we have all been busy surviving completely by design, the top 1% of the world has been living large above us. And the same is true of all royalty, but specifically the British royal family. Now, again, I consulted with Google because this is something that I had read a long time ago and I wanted to get the exact number. Now, here's the crazy thing. You don't know what I'm talking about yet. I'm getting there, I promise. The exact number is so big, I don't even know how to pronounce it. But according to Google, King Charles is the largest landowner in the world. King Charles is the largest private landowner in the world. And the British royal family own more. This is the number. I don't even know how to, I'll write it down and I'll show it to you. I think it's 6,600,000,000 acres of land around the world. And that the British royal family owns 1/6 of the surface of the planet. Not making this up. This is the number. I'm going to write it on top here. I'll write it somewhere. 6,600,000,000, 000, comma, I'm still writing, guys, 000. I'm going to turn my notebook around so you can see this number. I feel like I'm Joe Biden making a speech where is 600 million billion trillion. Guys, I don't even know what this number is. It's 6,600,000, 000, 000. If you know how the fuck to pronounce that, please let me know, because I certainly do not. But I think it's 6,600,000,000, whatever the fuck. The point is they own 1/6 of the surface of the planet. And the British monarchy is worth $28 billion. King Charles alone is worth $2 billion, and William is worth $1.2 billion. They are not suffering. No, 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 no. And aside from tourism, what really does the monarchy do for people? True, they do some charity work. They donate their time to organizations and they sit with people. But explain to me how exactly that is improving the quality of anybody's life. Because from my point of view, it's not. True, I am not British, and I'm sure there are many monarchists that will say that's not the case. And I respect that opinion. But as an outsider looking in, as an American, looking into the little fish tank that is the British monarchy, I don't see how they are actually improving anybody's life, especially knowing that they own all of that land. Because with that land, they could eradicate all homelessness on the globe. They could build housing. They could get people that are living in shanties out of them. They could build schools. They could actually make some sort of contribution. But I'm sure Charles is keeping all of that land for his beloved gardens, and it would be a huge inconvenience for him to move his gardens someplace else to welcome people in. So while the British royal family is nice to read about and to be curious about, and be curious about their personalities, and to like to see and perhaps buy what Kate wears, maybe all of that is actually part of the distraction that the British royal family is. Because now that they don't hold power like they used to, why not just abolish the monarchy altogether? No. Because anyone with that much power and money would not voluntarily give it up. But one does not have to be a monarchy to wield that kind of power and influence. Because any 1%er or any elite qualifies. And thus, anything an elite has founded was built with their benefit in mind and not ours, monarchy included. Not just the monarchy, though, because there is healthcare that makes us sick, food that poisons us, jobs that enslave us, porn and hookup culture that corrupts us, a two-tiered justice system, a banking system that robs from us, an education system that breaks us, fast food that definitely kills us, a godless society built around pronouns and pledging allegiance to the gay pride flag instead of a country's flag. Illegal taxation, most certainly without representation. And this is just in the United States alone. And also, just what I had thought of off the top of my head. So all the old systems have to come down so that they can be rebuilt. Tear down the motherfucking Leaning Tower of Pisa so that way, not literally, but as if something was going to be built on top of it, tear it down so that whatever is built on top of it has a chance of actually thriving and not being corrupt in the foundation. All old systems have to come down so they can be rebuilt. And there is no older system than the monarchy. True, there's the club, there's the cabal, but as an institution that's public, worldwide, and known about, and not living in the shadows, it's a monarchy. So let it all burn down to the ground. I'm not suggesting anybody literally burn it down. Please do not. So let's metaphorically burn it down to the ground, and on the ashes of the old can a new world be born. Because if the islands of Hawaii can be born from a volcano, Imagine what we, God's children, can build when our wings are no longer clipped and we are taught to fly. So that is my prediction, that is not a prediction, on the monarchy. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now this also concludes my video on the royals by request, your guys' questions, my channeled information as the answers. This is also where I'm going to say to you, or remind you rather, please take what resonates and leave the rest behind. And as always, and until next time, stay in the high vibration.